My lovelies, it is Marie here from Skeins, and as promised, I said I'd be back early this week to, now that I've got my feet back under my desk and a little bit of a handle on what's happening and what's going on around the tracks, I thought we'd have a bit of a catch up and see just a few bits and pieces of what's going on. But the first things first, I did forget to bring in last week when I talked about all the yarns, there they are, that I brought back from my trip. The progress that I made while I was knitting, and yes, I'll put my hands up, I made no progress on my UFO whatsoever. However, I did do some knitting while I was away, and I started a Niara, which is, as many of you know, one of my all-time favourite, not hitchhiker on today, but shawl patterns, scarf patterns from Martina Bain. And I bought the souvenir skein from Bleating Art, which is one of our local indie dyers here in Hawke's Bay, who we absolutely adore. Denise and Alice Best, we love them, love them, love them. And Alice and Denise had the most beautiful souvenir skein called 1931, which was colours representative left over from the aftermath of the 1931 earthquake here in Hawke's Bay. And the colours are beautiful, and they speak to where we're from, but also the colours, I know from my perspective, definitely work in my colour palette. And I got to see the skein soon after it was dyed, and I just instantly fell in love. So I knew I had to have some. So Niara is perfect for any sort of indie dyed yarns, I feel, because it's a triangular shape with a series of scalloping using a very, very simple increase-decrease. It means what you get is this beautiful, even texturing, let's put that back there so you can see it, there we go, of colour. So the colours do sort of spread out really, really evenly. So you can sort of see there's little graduations there and little micro pools of colour. But it just means that when I go to wear it, and in this particular instance, it's predominantly a grey base with a few darker charcoaly bits, but then lots of little bright flecks to represent flames and rebirth and you know, the fire that preceded, or you know, the earthquake. Because often actually the earthquake destroyed a lot of the buildings in the downtown, but it was the fire that followed with the broken gas mains that actually did, from the CBD's perspective, because they're all Victorian wooden buildings, that's what did the real carnage. So it is just utterly, utterly gorgeous. So as you can see, you're thinking, oh, well, I'm pretty much done, and that's almost 2 skeins worth, but I've actually decided to, I've got 3, and I've decided to do the 3rd, so it's a real, I'll have it as a really large wraparound shawl. Usually I only do actually for 4 by 3 of these, which gives me something for around here, but I've actually decided to 150 grams, 150 to 200 grams. I'm going to actually do all 3 skeins, which will be 300 grams total, to finish that off. So that's chugging along really, really nicely, and utterly thrilled with it, really thrilled. Hey Jean, how are you? And Bernadette, hello, hello. So yes, so that's what I'm up to, and really enjoying that, thoroughly enjoying that. And I've got a few things that I'm sort of wanting to knit ahead in preparation. I've got a gift that I've got to get out for Christmas, which is an adult size gift, and then I've got a couple of things I need to knit ahead for you guys as well. So I've got a few things on board. So my one UFO, I think, is going to remain UFO'd for a little bit longer. However, the good news is that I have seen, honestly, there must be knitting baskets, project bags, cupboards and tubs who have been emptied out across the nation in the last month, because man, have there been some UFOs that have been cleaned and tidied up. I am seriously, seriously impressed. So that means you've got plenty of room for the new projects moving ahead, and I'm actually been really, really good today and laid out all the speakeasy concepts now through the summer, plus some other ideas, so we can actually get a really good plan moving forward. I'm actually super excited about it, and have been emailing about especially our large project that we can do together over the summer months, December, January. So all of that is moving ahead. The good news about UFO, instead of doing smaller projects, I've actually decided to do 3 really large prize packs for everybody, which I will draw next Monday. And what they're going to be are 3 floozy kits. Yes. Everyone is getting on to floozy. You are loving it, absolutely loving it. And I'm going to actually mix it up because everyone's seen sort of loads of floozy ideas in competitions, so you've got a good handle on that. But that's the beautiful thing about this pattern, is that it will use any sort of fine weight fingerling style yarn on the gauge that Libby has put out. So I'm actually going to do 3 floozy kits in Orb Fine, Heritage Organic Merino and Silver Lining Linear, which will give you 3 quite different feels for those floozies that you can have a fiddle around with. So I think they're going to look amazing. They're full garment pack kits that will be going out. So, and I mean, you don't have to knit a floozy if you don't want to, but you've got them there if you do. So, or you can break them up and make loads of scarves, shawls, or kids projects, or whatever takes your fancy. But those are the 3 prizes that will be drawn next Monday. So that's really exciting for everybody. I woke up this morning, took my number one son off to pick the bus up, and he was all looking very happy and relaxed. And I said to him, "Mate, why are you looking so happy?" He's like, "School holidays on Friday." Yeah, he was happy. I was like, oh. It's like, that sort of snuck up on me, I'm afraid. Had no idea that the school holidays that are coming up. So many of you I know have school-age children, or school holidays means that your children who are working bring your grandchildren over to you, and is quite a busy time for us all. If the long-range weather forecast is looking how the long-range weather forecast is looking, it'll be Murphy's Law that it's highly likely that the weather is going to be a bit in your area for school holidays. So what I decided to do was just pull out a couple of ideas for the school holidays, because some fibre related ideas. And it's actually teaching kids fibre crafts. You don't necessarily have to teach them how to knit, but there are some really fun things you can do with the kids that will keep them out of mischief for an hour or two, and give you, some peace and actually a bit of fun and enjoyment with the kids as well. And one of the basic things that I've always done, and kids, especially girls, but most boys love doing it, just simple with yarn. This is just some DK yarn, standard crochet hook. I mean, most of us have this lurking around in our stash. One does not need to know how to crochet in order to do this, because it is basically a slip knot. This is just a basic chain, round, through, slip knot, round, through, slip knot. You think, well, that's not much fun. But I can tell you, having done this with kids, what you then get is this lovely little chain. No, this is a friendship bracelet, people. Friendship bracelet. Look at that. If you want to get really adventurous, go to your Emporium, Basic Crafts, your bead shop if you've got one. Nice big fat beads, thread a couple of those puppies on there. Make those friendship bracelets really interesting. You are bound to have scrappy DK yarn, bright colours or what have you in your stash. You can pull together a whole friendship bracelet making kit. You can get them making bracelets for all their friends, making bracelets for themselves, get a group of them around doing them all together, and it is so super, super, super easy. And all it is yarn and a hook and an imagination of whatever you want to put on there. My boys actually have done this. They just like making the cords, they just like the whole elastic. And next thing you know, these cords end up all over the house and tied to the dog and what have you. But it just gets their minds away from other things, and they're doing that. So that's idea number 1. Idea number 2 is, if you've got them a wee bit older, or they do realise, you're wanting to teach them how to knit, and you're wanting to get those skills started, what we have gone and done is we've actually had a bit of a dig around, and we found a number of these shorter 23mm bamboo needles, which are perfect for teaching kids how to knit. They're easier for their hands. And we've also got some acrylic ones as well, which are only a couple of dollars each. I've put them live on the sale page on the website. And these print yarns, which we've got in for the can sale, which have been massive. They've been really popular, and it's been great seeing the projects in them. To get you all prepped for school holidays, I have took from now to the end of the month, so they're live right now. I have put these prints up and knocked $1 off them, $2.95 a ball, so you can get yourself stocked up. And what I love about them, this is what I call the Seinfeld series of prints, which is striping prints, self-striping. Now that's just garter stitch, and I just whack that out through one kind of repeat to show you all the different colours. But that, I mean, I've just started doing that. The thing with this is that it's a garter stitch is where you want to start teaching kids to knit anyway. The beautiful thing about this yarn is the colours do all the work. So they're teaching, having the repetition of doing that same stitch again and again and again and again and again. But they're getting this quite frequent changing of colours. Now, you could go, I've got 30 stitches on there. You could do 30 stitches and 60 rows, which will then create 30 garter bumps, which will give you a square. And that is the perfect size square for a charity blanket. So you could get the kids knitting charity blankets and find your local charity in your area. Or if you don't have one, definitely send them to us at Skeins. Yarn Hawke's Bay take them from us, so they do blankets for skidoo and newborns going home in Hawke's Bay. So we will always take your squares if you have no home for them. So that is an option. Or at that width, just going up, you just keep going and going and going, and they make fantastic scarves for kids. They really, really do. And the beautiful thing about this is that they can't go wrong with it. It's nice, simple, straightforward, knit, stitch, and because this is changing all the time, it keeps them interested and it keeps them engaged, and they can pick it up and put it down. And it is so much fun. And as I said, these are the striping ones. The staccato, the music series that I've had, that's even more interesting again, because you get dots and dashes and different bits in there. But if you've got the patience to sit down with the kids to actually teach them basic knit stitch, I think this is really, really fun. So both the needles, these are at the end of the sale page. I think these ones are $3.95 and the acrylic ones are $2. And this is $2.95 at the moment for this yarn until the end of the month. So that is just really, really good value. And actually, if you're charity knitting, machine washable, the skiboos and the charities love this stuff because it's got a bit of colour, it's nice and bright. I mean, I'm feeling particularly autumnal, so you know me, I like to mix and match my, I don't like very autumnal because it's spring, but I actually really like these autumn colours. I think it's a redhead thing. But we've got everything from beautiful blues to purples to pinks to blush tones to greens to everything. And they're great. So if you are looking to stock up on your charity knitting as well, do make sure you grab those prints $2.95 because that's an incredibly good buy. The last thing I just wanted to show you, because this is all, I've done all of this out of that one ball of wool, one ball of yarn, by the way. The other one, I had a bit of a brainwave. When I was a kid at the school holidays, I would often go to my grandparents, and I grew up on a farm. I'm a rural kid, and my grandparents lived in town. And when I say town, they lived 15 to 20 minutes outside of Gisborne, so we're not talking town. For me, it was town because I lived 2 hours away, nearly 2 hours away from Gisborne. So anything that was closer to where I lived was town. And my grandfather was a drover, and he also was a drover and a farrier. So that's someone who shoes horses. And he had a lot of traditional skills that got passed down to him. And one of the crafts that was very, very popular amongst drovers, farriers, and a lot of farmhands at the time was macrame. And you may think, oh, potholders in the 70s and all that. No, a lot of them used macrame as a form of creating girths, hitches, belts, strapping for horses. So leather was often expensive, you couldn't get it, so you actually had cord, and they created these beautiful hand macrame pieces, and that's where he learned his craft from. So he taught, and I haven't done it for years, and he taught it to me when I was about, might have been about 7 or 8, I think, and I made a belt the world's smallest belt. I mean, it would barely fit around my thigh these days, but you know, back then and I entered it into the A&P show. I was really proud of it. It was blue and yellow, and it was, you know, quite pretty. And he taught me all the different macrame stitches. Now, I haven't done macrame essentially since then, so I thought, oh, actually, that is, you're seeing a lot more macrame popping up in wall hangings, and it's sort of, as a craft, starting to, from a design perspective, sort of roll around again. And macrame is a surprisingly satisfying thing, and really, really easy to teach kids. So I've just knocked this out. To be fair, I couldn't quite remember how to do a square knot, and I did actually have to YouTube it. But that's the beauty. We can YouTube it. So if you've got the kids who are attached to screens, get them attached to something like this. And I mean, this again, that's just a basic square stitch, which you can create these lovely structural pieces. But again, I've just gone and created that using this coloured yarn. But see, look at that really wonderful textured effect. Now, again, bracelets, look at that, friendship bracelet. Fantastic. Easy enough to thread in those centre cords a bead and then square stitch around it. For a bracelet, this is heaps of fun. I mean, the knots are really straightforward and simple. I've just gone and whacked this over the end of a knitting needle to stay it in place. It's actually something that you could play around with and even yourself have loads of fun with. And this is sort of literally 2 minutes getting a quick refresher on the knot on YouTube. And I just put in basic macrame knots, and it's all there. And I mean, this is a great way to kill a couple of hours, you know, especially if the weather's a bit rubbish and you can't get out and do something else. So those are 3 quick ideas for the school holidays that you can do with either your own children, your grandchildren, your friends' children, yourself. If you're stuck at home and you're sick of talking to your other better half, and well, you're the better half really, but you know what I mean. So yeah, so check those out. And again, those yarns, I've got, actually the other yarns I've got on that spring fling as well is the Mackay and the McEwen, the last of the DK and the McEwen, I think, I can't remember, the red one, and the 12 pies. So both of those are also in that spring fling as well. So yeah, check those out for the school holidays. Speaking of colour, UFO's been our theme this month in Speakeasy, and talking to Claire and the team downstairs and actually having a look at the plan moving forward for our knit-along / crochet-along / craft-alongs. This month I've decided, we've decided actually, it was Claire's idea, bless her heart, Crazy for Colour is what it's going to be. And the criteria is any craft, whether it be weaving, crochet, macrame, whatever you want to put in there, yarn craft. The only criteria is to be in the draw to win prizes is it has to contain 3 colours or more. So whether that's 3 solid shades of yarn and 3 different colours in a piece of colour work, whether or not it's something like this. I mean, there's about 5 colours in there. So it's a single yarn that is variegated, whether or not it is something like this or like this. Whatever it is, the criteria is whatever your project has got, in whatever format you've got, it needs to contain 3 colours or more, and that is it. We want to brighten things up. It's spring. We want to get a bit of zest into things. So we thought Crazy About Colour is a great way of doing it. Perfect too if you're still working on your floozy cardigan, because that is 3 colours, and I know there are oodles and oodles of floozies that have been worked on at the moment and they don't fall into our UFO theme. So if you're still working on your floozy, it means you can post your floozy next month and your floozy will go into the draw for next month's prizes. Also too, if you've got some your Aranami shawls still hanging around, we did Aranami way back, I think, earlier in the year. Most of you did Aranamis that were more than 3 colours. So if you're looking for an excuse to finish those off. So it's a good way to clean some projects up and also get a bit of colour into things. The other thing too that you can combine this with in October is Outlaw October. Now, Outlaw October is something that happens every year with Debs over at Outlaw. She runs it over on her group, both on Ravelry and Facebook, and she gives away the most incredible prizes. So the winners for posting that is, she usually does a shopping spree for the retailer of your choice. Okay, just saying quietly, you know. But it just is a really, really fun thing to do. Loads of you have got your outlaw yarn. Again, if you're doing floozies, Bohemia Sport in floozy for floozy would be amazing. It would be so beautiful. And she's got all those wonderful colours. And she's also got, in fact, I will get the photograph. Debs, remind me to get that photo of that the cardigan knitted in the outlaw, which I know is being done by Katie, which is stunning. Because there's some really gorgeous colours, and because Debs has got all those lovely brights, you can do some really interesting funky yolks and have that looking, you know, just neat, really neat. So that is happening. Also, the other fun thing for Outlaw October, she's got a series of new designs which she's had done for Queen Bee, which I will pull finger on and get those. We've got the leaflets here, but get those loaded up. But do also have a look at her webpage for digital downloads of those, or on Ravelry, because we've got full stock of Queen Bee. And Queen Bee is great if you're wanting to get a quick knit whipped up for a gift or something really special, and it's wonderful and bright and fun and funky and gorgeous. And yeah, we love Outlaw. So remember, Outlaw October is also coming up. So you may be able to do a combination. If you are doing a project in Outlaw yarns and it's more than 3 colours, double chance to win. Enter over in Outlaw October and enter with us as well with Crazy About Colour. And then you get, you know, you hedge your bets, don't you? What else have I got on my list of things to talk about? Yes, can cruise and skeins at sea. Many, you may or may not be aware that next year I am hosting a cruise starting in Melbourne, heading across the Tasman, and then going around Fiordland, coming back up around New Zealand and finishing in Auckland, with a possible option to return to Melbourne if you are our friends in the West Island. So that is selling really well. Very excited about this. We do have our own Facebook group called Can Cruise 2019, so do make sure you check that out and join that group if you're interested. And we will be doing classes, and we will have yarns. I'm hoping, I'm working on a yarn that we will launch especially for that. There'll be, you know, beautiful yarn packs, lots of things going on for the Can Cruise and Skeins at Sea. So if you want more information, do, as I said, head over and check that out over at that group. The only thing I will say is you need to make sure, one of the questions that's popped up actually for me in the last little bit, is you do need to make sure I'm doing this in partnership with a travel partner, and it does need to be booked through the travel partner in order to be part of the activities, because I know some of you do cruise regularly and you've got your own people that you use. In order to be able to book the actual can portion, which you'll book, we'll have that already, hopefully before the end of the year you'll be able to get that portion booked. You need to have booked the travel through the travel partner to be able to do that, and it's tied in with, and the reason for this is it's all tied in with us getting access to the spaces that we need for the classes. So the way the cruise line do it is they tie it in with the cabins and all that kind of stuff. So it's really important that you do book through the travel partner. If you haven't booked through the travel partner and you've booked through someone else and you've got the dates, that will need to be transferred over to our travel partner in order for you to be able to book the bits off me. So it's quite important. But if you have any questions about that, do pop over to that page. My travel partner over there, Carly, she's fantastic. She'll be able to answer all the travel related questions, and I will be able to answer all the can related questions. And hopefully after this week I will be able to start pulling together some more information about the activities that we'll be doing. There will be onboard activities, but there'll also be off-board activities, optional activities as well. So it's the sort of holiday that it's a bit like Mid-August Nights. If you've never ever been to that, you can do as much or as little as you like, and we're going to keep the can portion relatively straightforward, that the onboard activities, you pay a fee and you can either participate or not, come or go, and it's just to try and keep it nice and simple for everybody. So really, really looking forward to that. It's going to be so much fun. But in the meantime, pop over onto the sale page, make sure you pick up those Spring Fling specials, which are on, as I said, until the end of the month. There is still a little bit of the stuff that I talked about at the end of last week. There's a small amount of that alpaca left, and when I say that, we're down to the last sort of few bags. So that stunning alpaca, which there was the champagne coloured one, the brass and the navy. That's right down to the last of. There's a little bit of the heather left, so at $3.95 ball for 100 gram ball. That is crazy cheap. Perfect again for school holidays. That one is actually a good one because it's feltable. So if you're wanting to do a felted project, that's a really great one for that. So do check those out. The other one too that's on that special page, and I actually should have grabbed a ball up here to show you, is also with kids. That's fun if they're learning to knit. I'm just leaning over to my little pile of needles and things. Is those fatter roving yarns, which are great because you can use these bigger needles. If kids find the smaller needles a little bit tough, they find these bigger needles much easier. But also too, the macrame with that bigger stuff would be incredible. It felts really well. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and actually simple weaving, you know, basic cardboard looms. And when I say cardboard looms, I'm talking about a piece of cardboard, A4 card with, you know, the notches at the top, down the side, wrap your DK around that at one end, and then start weaving through at the other to create a simple fabric. I mean, all that kind of stuff the kids really love. So there's loads of ideas, and again, those thicker chunkies are still there, and they're the last of those as well. So I hope I've solved giving you some ideas for school holidays. I definitely know we'll be doing probably some of the friendship bracelets with my two. Well, it'll last 5 minutes with my two, to be fair, but we'll give that a crack. And in the meantime, crack on with your UFOs and start thinking about your colour projects. So you've got a week now to think about your colour projects. Get your UFO projects all loaded up to go in the drawer, which will be Monday, and crazy for colour. There you go. That's your planning for the week. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I've worn this before, but I'll show you again because inevitably someone will always ask me and I forget to do it. Hitchhiker today. This again is one of my absolute all-time favourites. If you've got a knitter at home who is just, you know, garter stitch and just moving on to sort of the next sort of skill level, Hitchhiker is a brilliant pattern for them because it's all garter stitch, knit in front and back increasing, and some very basic decreasing. Great starter. Big sort of more grown up pattern. This one here is Crazy Zalba Ball, which of course we don't have, but the wonderful Morag from Vintage Pearls, and I think Yarns also as well, both stock Crazy Zalba Ball. So that's what that is, but this would look amazing in this. I've done this as a 4-ply, but again, the thing I love about Hitchhiker, at the end of the day, you just do a needle appropriate to the size of the yarn and fill your boots. Away you go. There you go. Let your imagination run wild. I'll talk to you again. If I don't talk to you again this week, I'll definitely be back next Monday, and we'll draw those prizes, and hopefully, I will have my new Southland colours I can show you. That will be fun. All right, in the meantime, have a great week. Don't get too cold down south. We're thinking of you.